Hey, I'm Shane Baldacchino, and we're back here on Summit Live, broadcast on Twitch. And today I'm joined by some very special hosts. I often like to think of these people as the ninjas of AWS, those who really get stuff done. So we're here today to have a lovely discussion with AWS Professional Services. So look, I could introduce our hosts who are giants. I'm actually standing here on a box. But I'll let them introduce themselves. Over to you, Paul.
Thanks, Shane. Hi, everyone. Paul O'Rourke is my name. I've been with AWS for a little over 5 years, and I lead up our professional services business across Australia and New Zealand, and having a blast. So that's me.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm George Watts. I'm a solution architect with AWS. I've also been with Paul around 5 years, so we've got the scars, and yeah, really happy to be here today.
I'm Matt Fitzgerald. I'm a technical evangelist with AWS. I'm guest host here with Shane.
Nice one. Okay, so AWS Professional Services. There may be a few of us watching the Twitch channel here that aren't familiar with what ProServe does. I guess what is ProServe, George or Paul, and how does it differentiate themselves from, say, an AWS partner?
Yeah, sure. I'll take that, George. So I guess like all things at Amazon, we work backwards from the customer, and it was back in 2011 when many of our largest enterprise customers started asking AWS to provide specialist expertise, to help them come on site, help them solve their biggest challenges, and help accelerate their adoption of the AWS platform. And so it was at that time we launched AWS Professional Services. You can think of us as the AWS consulting arm. And so 2011 we launched. In 2013 was when we launched in Australia and New Zealand. And so I was number 3 consultant at the time, and been building that ever since.
Do they still let you on the keyboard?
I often try to get on the keyboard. It's not a matter of them allowing me on the keyboard. I think it's probably a case of I'm too busy to actually get on the keyboard as much as I'd like to. So, but I definitely love to get out in the field a lot and listen to customers' challenges and then help them solve those.
Yeah, look, and I think it's really important that if you're starting with AWS particularly, you don't try and reinvent the wheel. Like, a lot of the problems have been solved already.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it really helps to work with our support organization and professional services to bring us in and help you go faster. And just give you those best practices. And it's funny, I'm sure you've seen the same. If you've been on the platform long enough, it changes significantly. Like the architecture, what good looks like, changes. So what was good like 2-3 years ago,
absolutely
evolves, right? So you need that insight. You need that. You don't have to be finding it out for yourself, I guess.
Yeah. So gone of those days where thinking, creating those pub/sub architectures. That was kind of like SOA architectures. That was the in thing, maybe like 10 years ago. Today, probably not so much.
Yeah.
Just back to your question, how is AWS Professional Services different to other consulting organizations? In many ways we are similar, but we do have a different delivery model, and it's, we actually exist not to make consulting revenue. That's just not us. We exist to accelerate business outcomes for customers, and we do that by providing specialist expertise and bringing IP and tools and approaches to bear to enable that. But a big chunk of what we do is help enable our ecosystem of ISV and consulting partners. Yep. So we spend a lot of time helping them build successful businesses, because they are the way that we are going to scale in the market and take advantage of the opportunity. So that's a little bit of a key differentiator.
I've got my take on it, but how does a solution architect like myself and Matt here differ from an AWS Professional Services consultant?
So I'll take that one, because I've done both roles actually. And
I
would say,
perspective.
the great thing about a solution architect role is you go deep with customers, or you go deep on a territory, or you go deep on an area. Professional services are really there to help customers achieve an outcome. So they might go out and help them do a migration, or stand up a new landing zone to run on, whereas the solution architect's got that deep, long knowledge, and probably a lot more broader domain expertise as well. So that's the real difference. Think of ProServe as a doers. You bring them in to get a job done, help you achieve something specific. A solution architect is there for the long journey.
Okay.
So around the engagement model, what does a typical professional services engagement look like
Yeah, so interesting. We're seeing a bit of a shift in what our customers are asking for. So we actually, really not that long ago, and we still do this to a certain degree, we provide expert or advisory services, which is, a lot of planning, helping them, I guess, plot their journey. But in terms, that's good to a point, but we're starting to see more and more customers ask us to actually put more skin in the game, be there for longer, and actually bring the team that are actually going to deliver on that outcome.
So saying that, which is a good segue in the next question, is that the way, are you sort of looking at industry verticals now in terms of how you skill resources within professional services?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it wasn't that long ago, we were really just a horizontal. We were just providing general technical or technologists that could actually build out the common services or platforms that customers would, need to really build out their foundation. But yes, more and more customers looking for that industry specialist expertise, and so we're starting to think about how to organise ourselves better around that. We're bringing in skills around telco and FSI and insurance and many other verticals. So moving sort of higher up the stack as well to do more app development as well, which is an ask from our customers.
So, wearing my customer's hat and maybe, rewinding to a past life where, I may have been running an architecture function, wearing a customer's hat, I would often say, sometimes you want to do a bit of thinking up front to avoid mistakes. What are some of the patterns and anti-patterns that ProServe is seeing in the field? I guess in respect to, a successful cloud adoption.
Yeah, so look, I've got a few key ones where...
What are the war stories?
I mean, the people who get it right are the people who understand it. It's a long-term journey. And it's interesting, a lot of customers we go into, they're used to running their IT environment like a project, right? You do a project for 12 months or something, and then you run it for 5 years. And so that 5 years...
5 years?
Well, 5 years
Who
or
are you
10
dealing
years.
with?
Big enterprises, right?
To me.
So, but that's the people who say it's not like that. It's a set of products that are going to be constantly changing, constantly updated, constantly improved. They get it right. And so, I never want to, it's harder for ProServe when we go in and the customer's just got a small team, all the project team's gone, and now they've got to try and maintain their cloud. It's much better if there's, an ongoing set of kind of people and capabilities there.
Okay, so definitely a trend that I see in the field is the shift from, traditional, standalone applications to more these days, the de facto approach is serverless.
Yeah.
You talked about organizations that are, 5 years, 10 years. When AWS ProServe is dealing with said organizations, is it traditional or is it, are you adopting, modern practices that, as SAs we may see in the field?
Yeah.
I'll cover it. So we see a mix, right? There's no...
one size fits all?
Yeah, one sort of heavier side or the other. I mean, we work with customers who, many are on a large-scale transformation program, looking to move hundreds of applications, and it's just natural that some of those applications that are maybe differentiating for that business, are more suited to refactoring, and so then, we work with those customers to work on, DevOps practices, CI/CD pipelines, infrastructure as code, and help build containers and serverless solutions. So that's one thread, but then equally there's a significant number of legacy applications or technical debt that the customer's looking to trying to remediate, and so other migration techniques, using just rehosting and replatforming might be the most appropriate. So it's the 6 R's, and so
what is
there's
the
6
6 R's actually? Maybe people out there may not be familiar with the 6 R's.
So 6 R's are different ways of moving applications, right? So you've got rehosting, refactoring, retiring. There's a bunch of different ones. But just to add to Paul's point, it's interesting because whenever you've got an application, you want to bring it to cloud. You've got to remember it's run and managed by people. And so a lot of what we do is try and build things that are right for the people who look after those applications. And it is important, whatever type of developer you are, whether you're full stack or DevOps or more traditional, you've got to have an environment that's right for you. And so a lot of what ProServe does is really try and build those things that are right. We're Amazon, we're a consumer-led company, we work backwards from the customer. We try and encourage our customers to think the same way. Does everyone want to use DevOps? Or maybe I have some outsourced partners, or maybe I have some traditional teams who can't work that way. So I've got to build the right environment for them.
Yeah, okay. So speaking of right environments, I think rewind a couple of years ago, You know, I often spend a lot of time talking about, you know, getting your base foundation architecture. Landing zones has become a bit of a popular thing these days within AWS. Are you seeing that in the field? Is it a popular pattern?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, one of my frustrations, what I found, you know, full transparency here, is that we were working with, you know, let's just say tens of customers in parallel, building out landing zones differently each time, and it's quite frustrating. And so, you know, we brought that feedback back in-house, and actually it's led to AWS recently launching the automated landing zone, where it's actually a pattern that's reusable. We don't have to customize it each and every time that we you know, take that to a customer. In fact, we're putting it now in the hands of our partners, and customers can now start to use it as well. So, you know, we don't actually want ProServe to be involved in all landing zone deployments going forward, but they're obviously a necessary part of the foundational bits, you know, organizations have to get in place early to then build upon and get maximum value from the platform. So there is a pattern out there that, you know, you should be able to leverage.
And what I really love about landing zone is that you can just like, you know, stamp out, I think vendor's the term we use, vend new AWS accounts that conform to, I guess, best practices according to the AWS well-architected framework.
Yeah.
Really awesome.
I want to focus a little more about the actual activities that ProServe do, or maybe what they don't do. What do you not focus on, and when do you think it's the right time to engage, say, a partner or someone who may be?
Yeah. Back to my point around our go-to-market strategy and how we're different to the traditional consulting partner. You know, a big part of our strategy is, as I said, to enable our partner ecosystem, and actually our preferred engagement model with customers is to have ProServe and a partner or more partners. We're working with the end customer to deliver on an outcome or set of outcomes. And so we actually turn away work when a partner, I've turned away work when a partner is not engaged. And so we're going forward, we're more proactively teaming with our global systems integrators like Accenture and TCS and Deloitte, and local partners here in Australia, Versent, Contino, Consegna in New Zealand. So we've got teaming arrangements with them where we can go in together up front and deliver on outcomes. Now, in terms of what we don't do, you know, professional services at this point, we're not geared up. In fact, there's no aspiration for us to be at a partner long term for multi-years. That's not our model. We'd actually prefer to be an accelerator, enabler, get them going. We leave gracefully at the right point in time. The partner stays on to work with the end customer. So that's our model. We do that quite a lot.
It's like you're the special forces, you know, the SAS. You're in there, you do your stuff, and I feel like you enable partners, or maybe you teach customers how to fish, and they carry on.
I was going to bring that phrase up because that's a good one, right? The best way to use ProServe is to help you build your own capability, decide what you don't want to do, get partners to do that, and help, you know, ProServe get in, set that structure up, and get you moving.
But we are keen to get out of there when the time is right, because there's other customers who need our help.
Are there any ProServe success stories you want to talk about?
Yeah, it's probably a lot to cover. You know, I'd say we literally work with over 100 large enterprise organisations and public sector organisations in Australia and New Zealand last few years. Probably one that we're really excited about is the work we're doing with National Australia Bank. I can call on that one. You know, we've been in there for about 6 months. We've, you know, from I guess a developer experience, we're centred around developer velocity and developer autonomy, and of course in a bank, you know, many other traditional enterprises, there's governance frameworks, compliance frameworks that developers, you know, have to adhere to when they're building solutions, and so often those frameworks are really highly manual and slow a developer down, and so we've actually worked with the NAB to build this automated governance framework, which ultimately is you know, continuous compliance and allows the developer to build securely, but even though the developer doesn't even know that that compliance activity is actually taking place in the background.
We had Lupsko on yesterday from National Australia Bank talking about how they onboard developers at lightning speed. So it's kind of good to hear that from the other side of, Lupsko gave his point of how they onboard developers now after they've moved stuff into AWS and the experience prior.
Yeah.
So
I mean, just the NOB, I mean, they're talking about improving developer productivity by 20% just by this automated governance framework. And so when you extrapolate that across all development that happens across the bank, and that is a significant outcome and success story.
So with these frameworks and these tools that you build for your customers, have any of these ever sort of made their way into the AWS portfolio?
We're exactly in the middle of that discussion at the moment. So we often take sort of the work that we do with a customer, bring that back in-house, try and package it up into some sort of reusable set of IP that then we can take out to other customers. We're also talking to our service teams around, well, is there something here that we can actually stamp out as a service in the future? So nothing definitive in that front yet, but watch the space, yeah.
One of my favorite experiences, one of my first big ProServe projects at AWS was with Qantas. And there's actually been in the news recently where they were able to bring their route planning time down from weeks and weeks and weeks to just a few hours. And that's a really nice, solid use case where we're able to help them re-engineer the application, bring in new algorithms. Yeah. And that's the kind of nice work we like to do.
Making it, I guess, scale out.
Right, and that really means something to the business as well, which is great.
So look, we're almost out of time, but I guess to wrap this session up, what are some of the key takeaways our listeners out there on Twitch could walk away with?
One for me, looking at the successful enterprises that are really getting significant outcomes from the use of AWS is skills. Skills enablement is one of the patterns that we're seeing, regardless of your role. I know we're talking to a lot of developers here, but regardless of your role, whether you're a receptionist, you're in the finance team, you're security, you're a developer, whatever it is, get trained, get up to speed on the language around cloud. Once your organisation, en masse, is talking the same language, it's really, really empowering and it creates momentum. So that's one.
Yeah, the other one for me is continuous testing. If you're going to be good at one sort of technical skill, be great at test automation. Because if you're good at that, generally you're good at a whole bunch of other stuff that goes around it. And if you're going to run applications at scale on the cloud, you've got to be great at testing.
Yeah, all right, look. Guys, we are out of time here at the moment. Look, thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, George. Thank you very much, Matt. We'll be back shortly with the next session.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.